Hey everybody, this is Jason Akers again with Green Acres Pest Control. This is an easy 4-step guide to eliminating fleas that you can do on your own. I'm going to describe the proper procedures to eliminating fleas. I'm going to go over all the pesticides that you need to purchase and use yourself, that you can get yourself, and I'm going to explain to you how to apply them to successfully eliminate your flea problem. Step 1, identify where your flea problem is. Now I'm going to say something here, and a lot of people don't really think about it, but fleas come from outside. I know you get them on your dog and your cat, and you'll get them into your carpets and the places in your home and on your floors and in your beds, and they'll jump on you and bite you inside your home. But fleas actually come from outside. So this is a very important step to eliminating a flea problem, is identifying where they're actually coming from. And most people who are not successful at eliminating flea issues never think to check outside. The fleas will continue to come into your home if your pets are going back and forth outside. They're picking the fleas up on their fur and they're bringing them back in the house. One of the number one complaints I get from my customers is, I've been treating my dog. I've been treating my cats. I don't understand why the fleas don't die. Well, the fleas, most treatments for cats and dogs poison the blood of the animal, so that when the flea bites the dog or the cat, it gets a lethal dose of the pesticide into their bloodstream and they die. Now, if a dog or a cat were to transport fleas into the house from outside and the fleas never bit the animal, the fleas aren't going to die. They'll basically use the dog or the cat as a taxi service. They jump off of the dog and the cat in the house, and then they jump on you and bite you. You can't treat yourself with pesticide. I've had people call me, say they were treating themselves with pesticide. You'll kill yourself. Don't treat yourself with pesticide. That's why you're watching this video, to learn the safe and right way to eliminate fleas to cause as little harm to you as possible. So, we've identified that the fleas are coming in from outside. That's step 1. We know they're coming in from outside. So how are we going to kill this problem? How are we going to stop this problem? Step 2 is preparation. So you want to cut your grass. You want to cut it all the way down to the ground. If you have grass outside, you want to cut it all the way down. You want to pick up everything off of the floor in your home, because you're going to treat the floor of the home. You need to pick everything up off the floor, because let's admit it, while fleas do come from outside, now they're in your house, perfectly happy infesting your home. So we take everything up off the floor as much as humanly possible. Everything. Put it on tabletops, countertops, everything up off the floor. I know in my house it's really difficult because I have small children and they have toys everywhere. But you want to make sure you pick up all this stuff up off the floor, so you can treat the area. Outdoors, now let's go ahead and talk about treatment and how we're going to treat the problem. We're going to use Bifin granules. And the links, of course, all the links on all my videos below. Just check the links below. All the products that I support, all the ones that I use, all the ones that I believe to be very successful at eliminating bug problems are down below. And you can go and check those links out on all my videos. And I've even got a storefront where you can see all the kinds of different pesticides and stuff that I use for not just fleas, for roaches, bed bugs, any kind of bug problem that you could have are also listed there on my webpage. So check that out in the link below. So we're going to use Bifin granules on the yard. So what this is it activates when they're wet. So people are always like, well, if you just treated the yard and then it rains, isn't that going to destroy the chemical? Well, in some instances it will, but not with granules. Granules activate when they are wet. So we're going to treat over the yard. We're going to use a hand spreader which is, it's basically a little crank, and I'm going to show an image here. It's a little crank, and you fill it with granules, and you just go and you spread them over the whole yard. That's the first step. So you read the label of your granules, make sure you get enough that's actually going to cover your yard. You may have to get a bag or two, may have to get 3 or 4 bags, depending on the size of the area that you're going to need to treat. You really are only going to need to treat the areas that your pets frequent and the areas that you have to walk through to get into the home, because believe it or not, you can actually get fleas on your own clothing and bring them into your home. So we treated the yard with granules. What are we going to do now? So we're going to treat the yard again. We're going to get either, there are 2 different ways that we can do this. There's an actual liquid that you can get where you treat it over the yard with a garden sprayer. You just spray it over the yard. Or you can get a water hose attachment. Both of those are going to be linked below as well, the different chemicals you can use. And so I'm not going to be specific because they're different pesticides, but just look in the link below and you can see the liquid application and how to actually apply the stuff. But that's what we're going to do over the whole yard, because the point is to kill the fleas in the yard, because they're coming from the yard. This will also activate those granules that we just put on the yard. So after we treat the yard, we need to come in and we need to treat the inside of our home. We've already prepared the home. We've picked up everything up off the floor. We've swept and we've vacuumed. This is very important. You need to sweep and vacuum the floor before you apply pesticides. So now we have a nice, clean, ready to treat surface. What are we going to use? So I use Alpine WSG for the treatment of fleas. The reason I use this chemical is because it has a 30-day residual. It will kill fleas for an entire month. The problem with fleas is fleas lay eggs. Not only do they lay eggs, but they go through metamorphosis. Metamorphosis is the same thing that a butterfly goes through. So a caterpillar goes into a cocoon, hatches out of its cocoon, and becomes a butterfly. A flea starts out in a larva stage, which would be the caterpillar stage. It goes into a cocoon stage, and then it hatches out of the cocoon as a flea. Now, these will only hatch out if the flea is ready to hatch, and if it senses a change in vibration or movement. So when a dog walks by a flea cocoon, the flea will hatch out, jump towards the dog, and bite the dog or the cat or you. So we need a chemical that's going to be able to last several weeks in order to take care of these fleas that are hatching from these cocoons over this entire period. You may still get bit by fleas after your treatment, but that's because we are waiting for them to come out. So after treatment, I recommend using a vacuum every single day, multiple times a day. The vacuum is going to vibrate the floor and it's going to aggravate these cocoon stage fleas. They're going to hatch out and get in the chemical and die. We're going to use Alpine WSG. Be sure to read your label. Make sure you're mixing it to label for fleas. In fact, I recommend of all the pesticides that I'm talking about today, go online, look up their PDF, and read everything about the chemical so you know what you're buying before you buy it and if you're actually qualified to do the job. Because if you're not, you need to hire somebody who can. Don't try to do this yourself if you don't think you can handle it. So anyway, we want to make sure that we're getting the right application. So we mix our chemical, and then what we're going to do is we're going to do a broadcast application. So most of my videos, I talk about a crack and crevice treatment, which is when you treat in the cracks and crevices, baseboards, places like that. But with fleas, we're going to do a broadcast application. So what that means is we're going to spray it over the entire floor. Now, we don't want to saturate the floor. We don't want to get it so wet that it's just puddles everywhere. We're just going to get an even coat across the floor. Most homes can be done in about a gallon, maybe a little more than a gallon of mixed product. So We don't want to get it to the point where it's puddling in the floor. We just want it to target the areas where the fleas are active, and we don't want to ruin our floors. So we want a broadcast application over the entire floor, every room of the house. If you have area rugs, you want to roll these up. You want to treat under the area rugs. You want to put the rug back on the ground and treat on top of the rug as well, because it's going to lay there and the fleas are going to be in that rug. You want an nice even coat of pesticide. So you'll see the little droplets come up off the floor. That's about the way you want it. You do not want to walk through the chemical after you have applied it. So what you do is you start at the very end of the house and you work your way backwards, walking backwards nice and slow through each and every room of the house until everything is treated. Typically what I do is I start in the basement and I work my way through the basement, up the basement steps, or I'll start in the upstairs, the second floor, working my way through and down the steps. And then I do the main floor, starting in the back, working my way towards my exit. So this way I don't have to track back over through the pesticide, and there's a nice even coat along the whole floor. If you do have to walk back through the pesticide, you don't want to do that. The reason you don't want to do that is because you're going to pick up the chemical from the one spot and transfer it to another, so you won't actually have an even coat of chemical. That's the purpose. The purpose of this application, of a broadcast application, is to get a nice even distribution of pesticide over the surface of the floor. So now that you've treated the area, how are we going to prevent? Step 4 is prevention. We want to prevent this problem from occurring in the future again. So, a way that you can prevent future flea infestation is to ensure that your pets, even indoor pets, are treated regularly for fleas. Also, you want to make sure that you treat your yard for fleas regularly. I recommend about once every 3 to 6 months treating your yard for fleas. This will ensure that you do not get a reinfestation of fleas in your home, because the problem is not just in the home. Like I was explaining before, the problem is that fleas live in the yard. They live in the yard. They will travel on you when you travel through the yard. They will travel on your pets when they go in the yard. And so you need to make sure that you treat your yard. Even if you just have indoor pets that never go outside, the problem is that those pets of yours will eventually get fleas on them from you traveling inside your house from out in your yard. So hopefully this video has been beneficial. Hopefully you've learned a lot on how to eliminate your flea problems. If you have any questions, leave me in the comments below. Anytime you want, ask me. I try to make sure I'm available. I read every single comment that anyone ever leaves. And if you have problems where you can't get these pesticides in your country, be sure to list it below which problems you're having, which pesticides you cannot get, and I will try my best to look into what you can use yourself, because I help people all over the world eliminate their pest problems. Y'all have a real great day. I appreciate it, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks.